I put a vote up on my YouTube the other day asking people what they wanted help with and what kind of content they want me to make. And the one that won is finance, business trends, and investing. So it just turns out that people want to know how to make money. The second runner up was how to get girls, right? And dating advice. So, what would be apt is for me to tell my story about how I went from a young, broke kid to financial freedom. Okay, so it's probably going to make sense for me to describe my story and talk about where I came from and how I became financially free. Because a lot of you are actually asking, how did you get financially free? You talk about you've got money, you talk about being able to go around the world. How did you do it? How did you do it? Fair enough, it's a very valid question. Everyone's path is completely unique, and I can talk about my one. I was never a rich kid, right? I didn't come from a rich family. I didn't necessarily come from a poor family, but I came from a family that instilled the right sort of values in me, right? My father was a strong masculine man who always said to me, you must succeed, you must do well, you must have your own business, you need to make money, you need to be strong, and you need to never give up, right? So those were the beautiful traits that he instilled in me from a young age. Now, I went to a pretty rough school when I first started out my career in London. I went to some very bad schools and got in a lot of trouble and got kicked out of a couple of schools and, got bullied at one of the schools, then was bullying other people at the other school. My dad took out a loan to actually send me to a private school in North London, which is probably why I speak like this with a nice English accent rather than talk like that like a Cockney boy, you know what I mean? So, anyway, my father did that. He took out loans to send me to a private school. I ended up going to that private school. I didn't necessarily ever work hard as a kid. I got decent grades because I was naturally quite intelligent, but not the top of the class, but I was intelligent enough to get good enough grades. But the grades never really meant anything, right? They never really got me that far. All right, fair enough. I got into Imperial College, which is a great university. But even when I was at uni, I knew that I was going to start a business. I knew that I would never get rich if I didn't start my own business. I already knew that while I was at uni. So throughout uni and before uni, I tried to start a number of businesses. Now, when I was on my summer during uni, I would try to start random businesses, right? I tried to start a P2P roulette company. I tried to sell bikes that glow in the dark from China. It was a company called High Glow. I was inexperienced. I failed a lot. I also tried to start a milkshake shop. That also failed. So I was inexperienced, but at least I tried, right? At least I had the balls to try these different businesses and to think to myself, okay, I've just got to be in it to win it. I've got to try it. And I was always a bad employee, right? I was never good at taking orders. My first job was at 14, 15 years old, lifting furniture, right, for a family friend's company. I was literally lifting furniture and wardrobes up people's homes, 3 stories. Probably explains why I've got like big shoulders now from lifting all that shit when I was 14, 15 years old. And then I worked at a stationery shop called Ryman in London on the weekends to fund my college career. Um, I was on EMA at college, right, which is where they gave you £30 a week because your parents didn't earn enough money. So I'd file those applications. They gave me £30 a week. I also got a maintenance grant for university. The student loans company gave me a full loan and also gave me a grant because my parents didn't earn over a certain amount of money, right? So I was entitled to that money. So thank you to the UK government for being able to send me to uni. So while at uni, I was a lazy kid, man. I smoked weed every day. I listened to music. Music is my passion. I love music. I'm a creative. I'm an extrovert. I'm good with people. I love music. That's really what I wanted to do growing up. I wanted to be an actor. I wanted to be a singer. I'm, a pretty damn good singer. But I knew I needed to make money, and my dad would never let me go down the singing route. He was like, whatever, you're not going to be a starving artist. You better go start a business, son, or you better get into finance. Or my dad wanted me to be a doctor, an accountant, or a lawyer, right? And just because he wanted stability for me. And I never wanted any of those things. I wanted money and I wanted freedom and I wanted to be, and I wanted to work on my creative arts and do whatever the fuck I wanted to do. So anyway, after uni, I applied for a number of different jobs. Actually, sorry, during uni, I got an internship at UBS Investment Bank. I applied to like 20, 30 different banks, got an internship at UBS. I didn't enjoy it. I was like, this is some bullshit. I don't want to be here. I want to make proper money. And I never got the graduate job at UBS because they just realized I was just there to like just piss around and just bulk up my CV, right? So I knew that I had to play the system, right? I had to play the system, get the brands on the CV, get the good companies so I could rise up, get into investment banking and make as much money as I could, as soon as I could. After uni, I applied for like 150 jobs, got rejected from like 130. It was 2009, it was the credit crisis. And I again tried to start a number of businesses which kept failing. All the businesses I kept trying to start from 21 years old just were fucking failing. I just wasn't winning. I was getting super pissed off and frustrated until eventually I got a job at an oil trading company from a Bankers Association charity dinner. I got talking to this woman. She passed me on to her husband, and I ended up working for one of the biggest oil trading companies in the UK called BB Energy Trading, owned by a very big Arab oil trader. So I worked for them for 6 months. Then I did a graduate scheme at ICAP. And I was an oil broker on the graduate scheme for a year. So I was in the city. I was an oil broker at this point. I was like, yeah, I've achieved the dream. I'm in. But I hated it. I hated it. The money was shit. And I wanted my freedom. And I knew I was smarter than most of the people that I was working with. And so during that time, I attended my alumni events of school. I kept pitching different ideas to people. I eventually found a partner and I opened an app called Brisk, which amalgamated information from Instagram and Twitter to show you what you could take a brisk walk to, hence the term Brisk. Raised some money for that, built the product, left my job. Guess what? A year later, bang, failed. Investor went bankrupt, didn't give us any more money. I was broke at the time. I couldn't afford to carry on building that company, so I needed a job, right? It's like 24, 25 years old. I now needed a job. I got in touch with a friend who worked for Google, and I was like, listen, bro, I've got a good CV. I tried to start a tech company. You know, like, I need a job, man. I got fucking £300 in my account. I'm broke and I'm fucked. So he put me in touch with one of the teams at Google, which was one of the sales and marketing teams in London. They got in touch with me. They liked my CV. Anyway, 7 interviews later, I got the job and I moved to Dublin, Ireland to work for Google. Now, that's really when my shit started, okay? Like I said to you, everyone's got a unique journey in this life. And this is my fucking story, authentically from the heart, zero lies. Now, I worked for Google from 25 up to 27. While I was at Google, I had an edge. And the edge was that I had access to information and access to data. I could see people's ad accounts. When I was talking to my clients and serving my clients, I could look at the competitors and see what they were up to. That is called an edge, my friends, okay? At the time, I could see what their competitors were bidding on, what keywords they were bidding on, because ultimately I was selling AdWords, right? And YouTube advertising. And on AdWords, as you know, it's PPC. So I was selling keywords and getting companies to spend money on Google advertising. I was actually calling them up and be like, hey, your competitor's spending this much, this is how much they're making. You really need to also spend on Google. So from that and from the 2 years of experience of working for Google and seeing all those ad accounts, I ended up spotting trends and patterns. Being the entrepreneur that I am, I was like, okay, cool. I see these insurance companies and these casino companies are like, these affiliates are spending a shit ton of money on these keywords in these regions. I should do the same thing. So me and my partner at the time, me and my colleague that was sitting on the same desk would spot these trends. We're like, bro, there's massive opportunities here to launch our own agency, launch our own affiliate websites. But we don't have that much money. I had a few thousand. So we approached some older guy that we knew who's like, listen, I'll give you $20,000 to start. You can spend this $20,000 on pay-per-click ads. We'll see if you're successful. So we both left on the same day, and the next day we started this company, right? We started building and editing our own websites. I was literally editing HTML websites, and I was opening up ad accounts, and I knew kind of what keywords I needed to use and how much I should be spending on those keywords. That was my edge, okay? I was a PPC expert. And I was in multiple different verticals, okay? Insurance and casino were the big ones, but then I would do like e-commerce, but mainly insurance and casino were the big ones, and those were the big money makers. Finding the different markets to advertise in, finding the markets where you could get the best return on investment for the lowest cost per click. That was what I did, and that's what made me financially free, man. So from 27 years old, I made my first million a year later. At 27, 28, I made my first mil. And from then on, that business boomed for about 3-4 years until Google started making it much harder to run these accounts. The policy started changing. CPC started getting much more expensive. So my clicks were expensive. I wasn't getting the same return. And 3-4 years later, that business kind of crumbled and my revenues went from 200K a month down to like 5-10K a month, which is still good money. Now, the advantage is I didn't go and piss that money up the wall. I invested that money. I put that money into the S&P 500. Given my finance background, I knew that I had to invest that money. I bought real estate. I bought a home in London. I bought real estate in Mexico. I secured that money in technology and S&P investments, which gave me a good return every year. I didn't piss it up the wall. The only thing I spent it on was traveling and experiences. Right? That was the key. I spent it on beautiful experiences, and I never regret that. Fast forward a few years later, from the ages now, from when the business was like wrapping up at like 31, 32 years old. So from 27 up to 31, 32, I had that business. From 32 till today, I have run my own investment fund, and I ran that investment fund with my brothers, right? I restructured my family's wealth and my dad's wealth. I restructured that to put it in the S&P 500. I worked with my brothers to pick tech stocks. We would pick ETFs and tech stocks. Because I'm ultimately a technologist that had worked for Google and understood investment banking, so I understand finance and balance sheets and technology and trends, and I'm a bit of a futurist, like I can see around the corner and I can predict that, okay, AI is going to make sense. Okay, we should get into epigenetics. Okay, we should invest in, Google and Facebook are still going to keep growing. They're going to get into AI. Let's pump more money into that. Let's put 20, 25% of our wealth into that. So I saved the millions of dollars that I'd made from my PPC business and put it into my investment fund with my brothers at the time. We grew that business. And then I decided to veer off and create my own fund because my brothers and I had different investment appetites, right? I was way more risky and they were way more risk averse. They got kids and I'm still, a single guy enjoying single life, traveling around the world. So I decided to break off and create my own fund about a year or two ago. And with that, I also got a green card to move to America. I got the EB-1A Alien of Extraordinary Ability green card. I moved to the States. I moved to Miami. I moved all my affairs there. I created my own investment fund out of Miami. And from there, I invest in tech stocks, okay? Mainly the large cap US tech stocks, which tick me over, which make me good enough money. You see, when you make a certain amount of money, you don't need 100% return. You just need a 10, 20% return, right? Then that makes you enough money to fund the lifestyle that you want to live. So that funds my lifestyle. Now, what am I doing from here on in? Why do I create this YouTube channel? I create this YouTube channel because I just want to share my experiences. I want to share, I've got a lot to offer this world and I've had a beautiful, very rich experience in business. I've started a number of different businesses. I understand finance, I understand businesses, I understand e-commerce, I understand PPC, so I can help people understand these concepts. I understand finance and balance sheets and accounting. Really, I'm an all-rounder when it comes to business. And so I'm well placed. And on top of that, because I'm extroverted, I've always been good with girls and understood dating and have been in beautiful relationships and slept with, a hell of a lot of girls, which I'm not best pleased about. But I understand human psychology and female psychology. That's another thing. That's another reason why I started making that sort of content. Right. So hopefully that explains a little bit more about my background and why I'm doing all this stuff. Now what I'm doing is I'm building algorithmic trading systems in crypto. Okay, so I use TradingView, I use Quant Connect, I code in Python because of all this AI stuff. I've got partners in Miami and here in Bucharest, Romania, where we build algo trading systems with indicators, with mathematics, with quantitative trading strategies. And the future for me now is to build that, apply that to a bunch of highly volatile tokens which have high levels of liquidity, stuff like Pepe, stuff like Shiba, stuff like Dogecoin, and to generate a positive return every single year. And by doing that, what I can do is I can offer that service out and extend it to my clients, to my subscribers, so people can then invest in my fund. And I'll take a 20-25% performance fee. They'll just deposit their funds onto a website and they'll get their returns and they'll have this investment dashboard and they'll be able to see how much the fund has returned each month. And the smart contract will deliver their cash to them, and then we'll take the 20-25% performance fee and deliver it to my wallet. That's the future. That's what I want to build. I'm trying to build a crypto fund. I've been doing this for 2 years now. It's extremely difficult. It's extremely challenging. I've got partners, very smart partners in the game. This is what I'm trying to do. And once I launch this, it's going to benefit all of you. There's too many scammers in this world, too many people just trying to rip money off you. This is what I want to build now with my partners and eventually raise enough capital to build a bit of a beast. It's an ever-changing, difficult business to crack, but I won't give up on it. And on the side, I love DJing, which is a hobby, and I love making these videos. And the reason why I charge for consultancies and the reason why, I want to monetize this business is because it needs to mean something to me. If it's completely free and I make nothing off it and it's just for fun and games, I won't be able to apply that much time to it. So if I at least get a bit paid for my time rather than helping people for free, then that way I'll be more incentivized and want to spend more time on YouTube, want to spend more time building a community, want to spend more time one-on-one with people who are struggling in life, right? You need to be rewarded for your expertise and skills. I can't be giving out all of this for free all the time. So there's a reason why I monetize why I've started to monetize these videos and why I've started to monetize my channel. And I will continue to do so and build communities of elite men who are entrepreneurs, who want to be in amazing shape, who want to make money, who want to understand how to speak to girls, who want to win at every fucking level. Because that's where I'm at, man. I want to win at every single level. I want to travel. I want my beautiful family, which I have back home in London. I want the cars. I want the girls. I want the body. I want to live it all and I want to do it all. And I love the parties and I love DJing and I'm great at DJing. So why not? I'm going to do all of it. You know, I'm an all-rounder. And so listen, I hope that's been useful. I know I haven't made a video for a few days. I put up that vote and I hope this clears up a lot of things about my story. I'd love to be able to help you delve deeper into trends, and I'll do more videos now about my crypto algo, about exactly how I'm trying to build it, screen shares of what we're doing, what kind of indicators we're using. Maybe some of you can step in and help me build this business. You know, that might be a possibility. I hope this video has been informative. It's time to really, truly tell my story. Thanks, guys. Thanks for subscribing and for watching my videos. I truly appreciate that. You know, please hit the sub button if you don't watch me and if you don't know who I am. You can also follow me and DM me on IG at Real Ralph Anthony. I read all of my DMs and I'll respond if I feel necessary. All right, I'm doing this for the community and I'm just trying to live my life, man. I'm just another guy out here trying to figure it out daily, not pretending that I know everything and I'm the man and you're all brokies. You're all fucking brokies and I'm broken out the matrix. Like, I'm not, you know, I came to Romania in 2008 because one of my friends from school is a Romanian guy who happened to be from a very wealthy family. I came to Romania way before Tate ever came to Romania. So anyone that's out there like, yo, you're just trying to be Tate in Romania. No, bro, I've been out here. I came in 2008. I came way before Tate ever blew up. And I came back out here because I love the girls. I've got a business partner here and I've got some very good friends here. That's why I'm here. Right? And yes, I have met Tate and his brother, but I don't meet up with them all the time. They're not my best friends. I'm living my own life. I'm my own authentic person. And that's how it is. Okay. Authenticity all the way. Love you guys. Thanks for following me. Drop any comments if you got any questions. And I'd love to make more videos that actually help you. Peace out. Have a nice weekend.